From the depths of the darkness to the things that go bump in the night, we are the Dark Screen Society, covering everything for your horrors, pleasures, nightmares, and frights. Hey, I'm Chuck, and welcome to episode 6 of Dark Screen Society. I am here with Gigi.
Hi.
Seth.
What up?
And Brian.
Top of the morning.
That's awesome. So today we're doing episode 6, and we're doing prequels, remakes, our favorites, what the best were, what the worst were. But first, we're going to start off with some horror news, and I'm going to turn it over to Seth because he has some breaking Mike Flanagan news.
Well, it is official that Blumhouse has picked Mike Flanagan to direct, write, and produce the new Exorcist movie, which is going to be completely separate from the new trilogy that they were going to do. Thank God for that. And supposedly it's like a completely new radical take that like has nothing to like really do with the first film. So it's like his take on The Exorcist, which I think is perfect. And I'm even wearing the Flanagan hat today.
I know. I saw your little hat. I am so excited for this. Like I didn't hate the Exorcist like Believer, and I know it's like not a remake, but you know it's like a whatever it's supposed to be. But I'm excited for Mike Flanagan. Like I actually think it's going to be really good.
Yeah. And the fact too that like he's already done religious horror with like Midnight Mass, and like he knows how to do his jump scares, and he's not afraid to hurt some kids like he did in Dr. Sleep. I think he's the perfect one to really push the limits here for this film.
Totally.
Chuck, what do you think? Brian?
I think if there was anybody to select for this job to put something so iconic in their hands, I mean, Flanagan don't miss. He does not have one bad film. I mean, he has ones that you might not like, but you cannot call it a bad technical film. So I expect nothing but an absolute banger.
How about you, Brian?
Brian?
Yeah, as mentioned, I think last time this came up, I'll watch anything Mike Flanagan does. Even his worst movie is better than most directors' best movies. So excited for it.
Before we move
awesome.
on,
We all, I know. We all had something to say. Go ahead, Seth.
I don't know if you guys saw this, but Flanagan announced yesterday too that Hush is coming to physical media finally, and it's getting re-released on like a streaming platform. He didn't say which, but Hush is fucking awesome, and I'm finally glad that we can pick it up.
Yeah, I was going to mention
awesome.
that. I'm so excited because you can't find Hush anywhere. Like
No.
I used to be on Netflix, then it got taken, I think, for the 4K. But I'm so excited. Love that.
That's great. It's such a good film.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
And Brian, you have some It news.
I do. Welcome to Derry was exciting enough, but we've got Bill Skarsgård is reprising his role as Pennywise, which is fantastic news. He is the best one. Sorry, Tim.
I agree.
Oh, yeah, I know. Sorry, Tim. Bill's great.
This is a hot take from you three. I'm like on the other end of this.
Really?
I think Tim Curry's is way better. Tim Curry's.
I was like, who's Tim Curry?
No.
Yeah, Tim Curry.
I thought it was great it was great when I was a kid, but it has not, for me personally, it has not aged well at all. It's like, it's hokey, you know what I mean? But they have so much more money to build it up nowadays, but it is iconic.
Yeah,
the movie's better. The new ones are better. I just think that his version of his portrayal of Pennywise is scarier as Tim Curry's is.
It's fair.
Yeah.
I do like
As lots of people do.
The other Bill Skarsgård news that came out, very small news, but he spoke on his monster in Nosferatu, and he said that his goal for the monster is that it's this disgusting, gross, just icky monster, but it will also be very sexual in nature, and hopefully it like turns you on and makes you attracted to it, but you're not sure why. And I love that. I think that is wild.
That used to be my caption on my Tinder profile.
We're all gonna walk out of the theater. Go ahead, Chuck.
Very excited. That makes me even more excited for it, that they're able to play with different ideas and, you know, modernize it and, you know, add a creepiness to it. I think it's going to be incredible.
Oh yeah. It's going to be good.
Very, very excited for it. Gigi, you have some news for us.
Yes, I have 2 pieces of news. So In a Violent Nature finally came out in theaters, which I think we've all seen. Brian, you saw it? No,
it's not in the UK. Well, blame the studios. It's not my fault.
Oh my God, I got to talk. Who's in charge of the UK? Dear UK member.
That's it.
So, and Violent Nature came out. It's getting mixed reviews. It's getting a lot of mixed reviews, but honestly, I expected that. So I'm just excited that people finally understand like what we were talking about these past like freaking 5 episodes. And then a Silent Hill trailer came out, which I didn't even know that. Seth just told me like right before we hopped on here. I haven't even seen it, but I am so excited. I love Silent Hill so much. And I was telling them that my very first TikTok was actually how to make the Pyramid Head cosplay. So I'm
Oh,
ready.
that's cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to look at that video.
That's
later,
awesome.
Oh
so I can make
God,
it for
yeah.
Halloween.
You gotta send
I
that.
really hope they do it justice because it has that whole entire universe and world has so much potential.
Yes.
It
I never
looks
played
like
the game.
me either.
Oh, the game rips.
Yeah, I never played
It's
it.
one of the best. Yeah, it's one of the best horror games like out there. Like just for atmosphere.
Yeah.
They're re-releasing 2 on like PlayStation and stuff, so I'm excited to try it out finally.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like Outlast. It's kind of like Outlast vibe, but it's like slower and more methodically creepier. But it
Yeah.
has that tone to it. Like it feels like it almost feels like you're playing something that you shouldn't be playing. Like it has
Yeah.
that vibe to it. It's really cool. So I have a little bit of news, and I want to give a shout out to Rotting Press and Anthony Cousins because the other day they announced that the Frogman will indeed fuck again because Frogman 2 has been officially greenlit, and they are searching for titles, and it will premiere sometime in 2025. But Frogman was an indie underground hit for a lot of us, and I think everybody here enjoyed it. And I thought that was really cool because they really didn't think it was going to do much of what it did. And it really took the internet by storm and it did really well. So I'm happy for all the people that created it, but I'm also happy that we can see the Frogman again.
Yes.
One
which I
thing
think
that
is cool.
I really appreciate that they do is that they use like smaller artists to make
Mhm.
their art cover, and
Yeah.
it just
Mhm.
like it rips. Like it's better than anything I have ever seen all year. Their cover is like the Frogman cover is the best movie poster I have seen all year. And it's because it's like this smaller like artist who's just put so much thought and love and effort into it rather than looking like a fucking Canva design. So I
Yeah,
love that.
nobody's controlling their creativity. They were just free to express. I agree with you 1,000,000%.
Yeah. So cool. I love that.
Frogman 2, Frogman fucks, the return of the frog.
He
Yeah.
fucks again.
He fucks again.
And if Shutter Ireland's listening, you really need to get into Violent Nature over there to Brian.
He's in Scotland.
Oh, he is in Scotland.
I've been wanting to say that back. So
Yeah, see, there you go. That was your opportunity. So the reason that we're all here today, today we are going to talk about prequels, remakes, and their purpose and their intention. And I figured the easiest way to segue into this conversation is, what is a movie that you felt was like classic to you, but you felt that the remake paid homage to it and did it justice? And we will start with Seth.
Ooh, start with me first. I like this.
Ooh.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's easily my favorite remake. I love the original. Don't get me wrong. I think it's what it did for horror is like undeniable. But I think the 2003 Texas Chainsaw Massacre with Jessica Biel is just overall a better film in my opinion. And it's definitely like it's not afraid to go there. Obviously, like I'm pretty sure the what I don't remember when it was released. The original Texas Chainsaw, they don't show any blood, right?
Very, very little.
Yeah.
Very little. Yeah, very little. Mhm.
And I've realized over the years I love a lot of gore, so I love how like the remake gets there, and also the Evil Dead, the 2010 Evil Dead movie is
Yeah,
fantastic.
rips. Mhm.
I love that
And
movie.
yeah, in a way that it's carried through our horror community, there's a lot of people that, weren't born back when those originals came out that actually favored the remake over the original, which I think is a very fair argument for how well those films are made. What is your input on this, Gigi?
Well, I was actually going to say exactly what you said is that I like a lot of people that are horror lovers. Like, I'm just saying, like, for me, example, I was born in 1992. So when I was like old enough or like getting old enough to watch horror movies, it was always remakes, like Texas Chainsaw remake,
Yeah.
like all these remakes, a Black Christmas remake. And so that's what got me into horror. And then I went back and watched the originals. And so and even though I do love the originals, I end up favoring remakes a lot more. Like I'm in the same boat as that. I love the Evil Dead remake over the original. I personally like the Black Christmas remake over the original, which is a hot take, I feel like. But yeah, those two are the ones, and the Texas Chainsaw. Those stick out in my head. But I do not like the I don't even know what year it was, 2019 Texas Chainsaw. That
That
one
was
was
bad.
just not good to me. Other
Yeah.
than the bus scene, that one like bus scene, I think the movie is bad as a whole.
I
But
agree.
I do think that they serve their purpose in the sense of like getting people into the original or just if they have a new spin on it and it just adds more to the movie.
I agree. How about you, Brian?
So I just rewatched TCM 2003 this morning because I knew that would come up as people's favorite, and I don't think it's as good as the original. I think it's still good. I don't think it's as good. I don't like it's not a very nice looking film. It's really green and grey, and it's like it's very 2000s.
Yeah.
Whereas I think the original TCM is like a bright film. Like it makes me think it's sun and sweaty. It hits better for me as personal opinion. But for films, I think remakes does it justice or is better. I would probably go with, as previously mentioned, It, especially It Chapter One.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Chapter 2 wasn't as good as Chapter 1, but Chapter 1 was nearly perfect. It does have some flaws, too many jump scares, but yeah, I love that. I'm going to get it tattooed on me at some point.
Oh, that's sick.
Ooh.
I will say, Chapter 2, the Chinese restaurant scene, is fucking brutal. I
Oh
love
yeah.
that scene so much. Seeing that and like remade is so cool.
I mean, I actually really
Yeah,
dislike that
that's
scene.
awesome. Yeah.
What?
You
don't
do?
like that?
Yeah. No,
Why
it's-
don't you
goes
like
on-
it?
It goes on for so long, and I'm like,
Uh,
I don't know. It didn't work for me, but I don't like. I didn't like that adults part of the movie. Same as in the original. It just didn't
That's
work
fair.
for me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think the 2003 Texas Chainsaw is better than the original, but I do. I'm I'm open-minded enough to respect people's opinion about it because it is good. You know what I mean? But it misses some of the point of the first one. Um, I think my favorite. I would have to say The Hills Have Eyes is probably my favorite like remake. Just because I don't think The Hills Have Eyes is good. Like it stands its test of time for why it was made, and I get it, and it pushed boundaries when it was made. It just happens to be very drawn out and slow to me. And then the remake of The Hills Have Eyes, I mean, that movie rips because it's brutal and upsetting and it's disheartening and it's just an ugly film. And I think The Crazies deserves a mention in the conversation too, because I think The Crazies remake is far superior to the original in every feasible way. But I also do like the argument for the 2013 Evil Dead because that Fede Alvarez
slaps.
That movie it just rips from beginning to end, and it gave fans what they wanted. And I really respected that. So we're going to start with Gigi because she had already mentioned it. So I don't know if it's her choice or not, but she did mention that newer Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. So like, what is a remake that you've seen that was just absolutely pointless, did the franchise no justice, that you really just despised?
Oh man, a remake. Let's see. Wait, I just had it. Oh, I can't even think. Oh no. Okay. I didn't like the American. Okay, I didn't like the American Let the Right One In. I don't even care for the original one. Like it's not my favorite movie, but I don't like the American remake like whatsoever. So, like I understand why people like the original Let the Right One In, but the remake was just absolutely pointless in my opinion. I'm trying to think of another one.
Is
I
that
I
the
literally
one with Chloe Grace Moritz?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. I haven't seen that one, but I've seen the original, and I love the original.
I
yeah.
didn't think the remake was that bad. Like it's not a patch on the original, but I wasn't offended by the remake as I am with some of the options that will come up when it gets to me.
I I feel like I've never seen The Thing remake, and that's just like a movie, like a
Don't
yeah,
don't do
like
it.
where like there are just some movies it's like I understand why they remake them, and then some movies I'm like I don't understand why they would pick that movie to remake. Like The
Just because
Thing.
we're going to get comments on this when people watch it. So 82 was technically a remake of an older movie.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
And
so
2011 is a prequel, actually. So it's not a remake, it's a prequel to it,
okay,
which
okay.
I only know because I've mentioned it and people get in my comments being like, actually. And
Actually, that is so fair because I actually didn't watch The Thing for a long time. I watched it like recently. I can't remember when, but I never saw the 2011, so I didn't know that it was like technically a prequel to it.
Yeah, it's a prequel, and I like how it like leads up to the thing, but like overall the movie's just like The creature's still cool, but other than that, it's just kind of like whatever.
yeah, it's a shame
Yeah.
they went because they had really cool practical effects, but then they got rid of them and did CGI over the top. And it was like,
Hmm
why? We know the practical effects work.
Yeah.
I,
Um
oh, go ahead,
Go
Gigi.
ahead.
Sorry,
No,
I
no,
was
no,
gonna say,
no.
I'm surprised nobody said the 2009 Friday the 13th as a favorite remake.
I don't even
Because
freaking
it's
remember.
I
no,
know.
that's got the boy from Supernatural in it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah,
Who?
it's not good.
Jared
I think
Padalecki?
the 09,
Yes,
I think the '09 Friday the 13th, the more and more that I've visited it over the years, I think it's significantly better than the original.
yeah,
And
I
that's
agree.
not, I don't think that's that hot of a take. It's just more, he's like more ferocious and threatening, you know what I mean? And like, well, I guess you couldn't say Friday the 13th 1, but 2, because that's when Jason really like came
Yeah.
into the picture. But,
Less,
it's more menacing.
yeah, less Johnny, more Jason.
Oh God, yeah.
Less Johnny, more Jason. And I do I agree with Gigi as well for let the right one in. The even though you didn't like the original one, I think the original's a masterpiece in my opinion. I think it's an absolutely hauntingly, brilliantly beautiful film. But there was no need for that American remake, just the same way there was no need for an American Martyrs. And
Oh, yeah.
speaking of which, but let's do let's do him first, and then we'll segue into the next chapter here.
thanks. Because I thought you were going to name all of the remakes from America, and I was
No.
going to be like, no,
No, go
they're
ahead.
all terrible. So I would
Pretty
say,
much.
what's the worst one? The Eye, I think it was. That was pretty crap. The Call, I think they remade. Shutter was remade, and none of the ones that
Oh,
come from Asian cinema to here. I don't, apart from The Ring, I don't think they've done any justice at all.
yeah. What about The Grudge?
No,
Wasn't The Grudge
yeah.
the
The
Yeah,
Grudge wasn't that bad.
On
No,
reading,
I
the Japanese Grudge isn't as good as I remembered it being, so it's not as strong as I thought. But I've not watched the remake since it came out.
yeah, I
Right.
haven't I love the remake of it. I don't even remember the original version. It's Japanese, right?
hmm
Yeah,
I don't remember the
Mhm.
Japanese version. Seth, you
Seth,
didn't
it
go.
looks like you have something on your mind, buddy.
Tell us.
So my remake that they shouldn't have done is Child's Play. I think that shit was god awful. And it sucks
That's
because
fair.
I love Mark Hamill, but like that rendition of Chucky just like was not it.
Really?
No.
Yeah, I was not a fan of it, and I'm not on the end. Like I know a lot of people loathed the Nightmare on Elm Street remake, but I didn't like. There are some parts that I do like about that movie. But I didn't like hate it as much as others.
Do you think it's go ahead, Gigi?
No, you go talk. I wasn't even gonna say
No,
anything.
I was just wondering, do you think that comes from a perspective of nostalgia and sentimental attachment? Like, are you able to even, I think a lot of people aren't able to allow themselves to view those remakes because of their sentimental attachment and give it an open mind. Do you think that plays a part in how you view it when they come out? Like, because there's a lot of people that like that Child's Play movie.
yeah,
Yeah.
I quite like that. Child's Play
I'm
movie.
not one of them. Yeah, it's all
I
right.
thought it was totally fine. Like it's not a it's not a Child's Play movie, but it's as a scary doll movie. I thought it was totally fine. Still better than Megan. Mithrigan.
With Regan.
Sorry.
With Regan.
It is better than me, Regan.
Yeah, it is.
significantly.
I understand that, because one remake that everybody shits on, but I have like a nostalgia factor to it, is the 2006 Omen remake. And it's
Mm,
not a good movie, but I have a very vivid memory of my dad taking me and my brothers to the drive-in to go see that. So it was like we were so young and it was like dark and spooky at the drive-in. So I like love that movie for the nostalgia factor, even though like I don't think it's a great movie, but I
right?
don't think it's as bad as everybody says it is. But also I
No, it's
haven't seen
gaining.
it in like forever.
Yeah, it's gaining traction because I still think it might be better than the first Omen. I think it's in that conversation.
So
And
Chuck,
a lot of people would disagree with that.
you seem to lean towards like you seem to like remakes like over, because I always get into this conversation of like I like a lot of remakes from like, 70s and 80s horror, and a lot of people don't like that, but when you go back and watch them, they just like a lot of them are really slow. That's how I felt about Black Christmas. I'm like, it's really slow, other than some of like the very like, I guess like crazy shocking things, like the things that he says that like weren't really mentioned in horror
Right.
before. It's like, other than that, a lot of them are really slow and almost like tiresome. That's how I feel about Friday the 13th. I'm like, dude, this is like borderline boring. And now with remakes, it's like, okay, let's make it a little bit more fast paced and I don't know, just more to it.
Yeah. I mean, when Friday the 13th got that 4K release, like what, a year and a half ago, I think it came out. So I had rewatched it, and it's been a long time since I watched the original Friday the 13th. And not only is it shot so dark that you can't really see anything going on in half of the scenes, but it is an absolute slog to get through. Like it's
Yes.
slow, it's slow. And so the thing that you touched on, Gigi, that I really like is if a remake's not good, it does nothing to the original. It doesn't hurt it in any
No.
way. It doesn't affect it. People will bitch and complain about it, but like, so what? But the thing that it can do if it's good, like TCM, Evil Dead, it's bringing something that people might not have ever watched to a new generational of people and horror fans, which in turn is going to help the original because people are going to go back and watch it to compare. And I think that's why they're almost like a necessary, it's a necessary type thing, because it's, if they try to recreate it, it's different. But if it's just like a homage of how they see this film in their own interpretation, I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, exactly.
In my opinion. Mm-hmm.
I feel the same.
And my remake is the most awful, abysmal thing ever. Is the remake of Poltergeist. It's just bad on all fronts. I mean, every single aspect of it is an abomination to me. But that's a sentimental. There's nothing that can touch that movie. Like, I love that movie.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we'll get commenters underneath the chat that Chuck waited exactly 29 minutes and 30 seconds to say that, there are other interpretations of iconic films that are remakes that are absolutely brilliant, that are hindered by the love for the original, such as Rob Zombie's Halloween movies, that a lot of people don't care for. But, to take a bold, brash perspective to, forward along a story, I thought, me personally, was brilliant. I know people hate those movies, but it's cool to see somebody take a fresh take on classic material. I think it's cool.
Yeah, I think so too.
And I was gonna say, it gives a whole new audience, a chance to see it. Like, like Jeezy said earlier too, like, we both grew up in the 90s. So seeing a lot of these remakes come out in the 2000s just like opens it up for more people to like re-witness it. And it also like makes them kind of like, oh, I want to go watch the original now and go check it out. So it kind of just like opens the door for more, like, for horror to be accessible to more people.
Yeah.
No, I completely agree with that. The thing that I would like your opinions on this, the thing that really gets to me is like, we have that Speak No Evil remake coming out with James McAvoy. I mean, that movie's not even 2 years old. I mean, like it's so fresh and new. Like, is it, that's when it's like, okay, well, this was like an underground indie hit that got tons of buzz. So now I look at it as like, hey, we're going to try to make a US cash grab on this film, and that is part of like the remake situation that bugs me personally a little bit. What do you guys think about that?
I agree, but I also think we all know how many comments we get saying, "Is this subtitles or is it in a
Yeah.
foreign language?" So it's going to open up to a
True.
market that aren't going to bother watching the OG. They should, but some people have legitimate reasons for not looking at subtitles, I guess. So I think it does open it to another market that might not be open to.
Do I have to read this? Yes, you
Um,
have to read it. That's my
yes.
favorite comment.
Yeah, I agree with Brian. It's like even though Speak No Evil is not, it's still like in English, but the only thing I guess I can argue in that would be if there was like if they're going to change or add to the story, like things that I think people would want to see. We talked about this before, where it's like, oh, you know, if he's gonna like fight back or something and just give a new take on it, then yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Like if they add like a little bit of spice to it, like I think it could be enjoyable. And I understand like why they're doing it, you know, because there's a lot of, like Brian said, there's a significant amount of cinema that people aren't going to watch just simply because it's subtitled, which I feel is a shame. But you know, you're kind of cheating yourself out of a lot of things. But that's why they're doing it. But plus, I think money kind of outrules everything there because they know it's going to be successful. But to each their own, I guess, on that. So whenever we're talking about remakes and remakes of like iconic films, like how do you feel about the direction that some directors try to take in terms of not wanting to make like a true remake, but adding to the story by doing a prequel, which we had one of the biggest in, you know, with a classic film this year, which was The First Omen, because it was a prequel to the whole entire story that we've known for 40 some years. How do you feel about that take, the director's vision to make a prequel versus a remake or a sequel? Seth?
I think personally for me, it depends. I think it helps kind of like make the story make it more understandable, and like because most of the time sometimes the horror films kind of just start, whereas this like kind of gives more backstory to something. I don't know. I think it can be a good thing, it can be a bad thing. It depends on who's making the story here.
Yeah, that's
Right.
true.
Yeah.
As long as that shitty girl in the notes isn't directing the film, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like the
Yeah.
fucking
What
Pet
are your
Cemetery Bloodlines. No.
That's right.
No.
What are your thoughts, Gigi?
I actually like prequels a lot. I for some reason I can't even like really think of like a lot of prequels off the top of my head, but I feel like I'm more open to a prequel than I am to a remake, even though I don't
Mhm.
mind. Like I really don't mind them. Like I liked that we got an Omen prequel, even though it kind of like messed with the original story. I still liked it. One prequel that I was actually thinking of that happened, or I was just watching Scream like over again the other day, like within mind that we were going to do prequels and remakes. And I'm actually shocked that they didn't do a prequel to Scream that has to do with like Maureen Prescott and Ghostface and Stu and Bill, like because they just opened up Scream with that like, you know, that she was murdered and that Stu and Billy had done it and like the whole affair and everything. So I'm actually kind of shocked they didn't do a prequel to Scream.
If they would have did a prequel to Scream versus like trying to make 5, 6, and now 7,
Yeah.
I would have been so on board for that because
Yeah.
that's like a subject that you can make like a really good movie based upon it. Like how did, you know, the evolution of this trauma to these children and things like that. Like I think that would be fucking pretty crazy, actually.
Yeah, and it could just like because it's also just like the creation of Ghostface and just way more storyline and like their first kill, and I think they could have
Right.
done so much more rather than like just you know reprising the whole franchise. Because I mean I like 5 and 6, but I didn't necessarily think that they were necessary, you know, because it
Mm-mm.
just got then it got to a point where like in 6 I was like this is like way too fucking meta where I can't even follow
Right.
how like meta it is. So I
Yeah.
wish
It
they would have
digs
done
really
that.
deep. Mhm.
They
It
could
just
have
gets,
Maxine it.
Yeah.
I mean, they could have,
Exactly.
but it keeps turning into my brother's, sisters, cousins, uncles, neighbors,
Yeah.
ice cream vendor down the street got his shoe stepped on by Billy Loomis's dad 25 years ago and wants to stab teenagers. I'm like, come on, that's enough,
No,
please.
exactly. That's how I feel. Like it was like I don't know. It's just you can only do so much with the same formula with like within Scream, like what they're going for. And so
Right.
I was just like, okay, this has gone a little bit too far now.
So, Brian, what are your thoughts, Bob?
Some prequels are fine. So I like the way the X is doing it, and then had Pearl was a prequel, but they filmed them roughly the same time. So I was like, okay, that makes sense. I do think some films are hindered by being a prequel because they've got that cloud over them that this has to all link in. Whereas the First Omen, I thought First Omen's first 2/3 were great. As soon as it started bringing the Omen stuff in, I was like, you're kind of losing me here because you're still struggling to close it. So I think they've got a place like Welcome to Derry. I'm excited for, and I would be happy to get like a Freddy prequel, although that might be a bit dark, knowing what he's done. But yeah, I think they've got a place, but they just need to remember the source material because it could hinder them.
I also think the aspect that they're doing Welcome to Derry as a show, and it's going to be in hour segments, like that gives like something like a prequel with the subject matter. It gives you more time to digest what they're conveying to you because you have to sit with it instead of like banging out a 2.5 hour film. So you can have that one episode and then things will start to register like, oh, this is what happened to so-and-so and this and that. Like, I really think that format is a great platform for a prequel, in my opinion. So before we get to like our main meat of what we're going to talk about here, is there anything that anybody has watched this week of that's very notable that you would like to mention to our fan base? And what have you watched this week, and what did you like, not like, and what do you recommend? And we will start with Brian.
So Monday, or sorry, technically Friday, but I saw early, Sting hit UK cinemas at last. I know you guys all got it months ago, but we just got it in UK now. So I'd seen it via screener, but I liked it then. But in the cinema, it's just so much better. It's just so much fun.
Yeah.
Me, it's the fun that I did not get from Abigail, which I know is a lot of people like Abigail, but it wasn't me. The best thing I watched though was a South Korean shocker film on Tubi called The Mimic. The Mimic. It's really hard
the
to explain.
cockroaches.
No,
with the cockroaches, right? Mimic?
You're thinking of Mimic. I'm talking the Mimic.
The Mimic.
The Mimic, not Mimic.
That is very important.
Very.
Yeah, but it's South Korea. They get horror, they get how to put grief into their stories as well. It's just everyone should watch it, but most people won't.
It's on Tubi?
No, it's on Tubi.
Oh, damn it.
That might be my selection for tonight. How about you, Seth? What was your viewing pleasure for the week?
So I watched two. So the first one was Leviathan. I finally watched that movie. And I actually thought it was pretty cool. It's basically like The Thing underwater. And I really liked the like creature design of it and the practical effects. I thought it was definitely very cheesy. Like some of the stuff in that movie definitely would not fly today at all. But overall, I loved it. And then since today's Monday and this episode's out, I got the screener for Under Paris, and I'm allowed to talk about it today now.
Yes.
And I am a sucker for shark films, and I fucking loved it. It is awesome. And
don't spoil anything.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not. It's really. You guys are in for a treat. I'll tell you that.
I can't wait to see it.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's great. That's all I'll say.
Also, Seth, who do you know that's giving you screeners for these things?
Yeah, for a Netflix film. What? Send that email over.
Netflix, if you're listening. I said nothing.
Well, I have a movie that I watched that actually I'm in the same boat as Seth because the embargo lifts on Monday and this comes out on Monday. I watched The More, which Chuck also did. I was texting him. Did Brian? Did you see it?
No, but my local cinemas showing an exclusive of it soon, so I will watch it when it's there.
Okay, it is. I really, really enjoyed it. I think they I think they got a little bit too self-indulgent with like the way that they were going. Like, is it supernatural? Is it folklore? Is it this? Is it that? But overall, I really, really liked it. I think it's a great film. It's just like, it's absolutely stunning. And it's a directorial debut. And I was shocked. Did you know that, Chuck?
I did.
It was gorgeous.
Yeah, you seem like you're teetering between like a 6.5 and an 8. Like, are you stronger to the 8 or more to the 6.5?
Fucking Chuck. I always give 6.5 when I'm like, I'm unsure. So on Letterbox, I was like kind of worried about logging it as a 3.5 because I was like, that seems too low, but a 4 seems too high, like 1 star away from perfect. So okay, if I was on a 10-point scale, I would probably give it like a 7.5. I think I would give
Okay.
it, I think I would give it a 7.5.
I think that's very fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because I think if they just tightened up the storyline and where they wanted to go, because it really it has to do with grief, has to do with guilt, but then
Mhm.
it's also like folklore. And I need to do some research because it's also folklore that I don't quite know that has to do with like the Yorkshire Moor. It's also a little bit of true crime. Like if you're familiar with Ian Brady and Myra Hindley, they took a lot of inspo. It seems like they took a lot of inspo from that true crime case. So there's a lot going into it, which I think works for the most part until it doesn't, until you're like, oh, it's not quite clear which direction they wanted to go. But for the most part, I would recommend it. It's a great movie.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I watched it in the midst of like having a lot of stuff going on very late at night, and I enjoyed it. But I think because this is the first day in a long time, like I got nothing to watch tonight.
Mm-hmm.
So like I think I might do like a redo on it. Because I did, now that you like sometimes that's why I love you guys. Like when somebody gives like a different
Just
perspective of
sometimes.
how much they so I mean it's sometimes, but it I get excited when we all can collectively like talk about something or like it. So like sometimes I'll like to go back in and check it out to see what it is. I don't remember last week. I think last week what I talked about was Bark. Bark was the film
Oh
I
yeah.
talked about last week. So I believe that I did not talk about Cannibal Mukbang last week. So
No.
that would be the one that I would love to talk about this week. Because yins are gonna love it. You're gonna absolutely love it because it don't let the title off put you. Because I went into it specifically because I heard Cannibal Mukbang and I'm like, this is going to be some close up flesh eating brutal shit, and it's not what it is. It is actually such a poetically beautiful love story that's tragic between the contact between human beings. Like, and I found it to be absolutely brilliant. It does have some very wicked gore and horror things in it, but it is way more about the relationship, the sense of being lonely and not having, a companion in the world and all those types of themes. And I thought for a first time director that it's the horror community is going to suck it up. And the other one was Kill Your Lover, which is also similar, and that one's dropping Friday, I believe. And that movie it's about toxicity in relationships and how people stay past the expiration date, and it's almost a 9 out of 10 for me, probably like an 8.8, because it's like an hour and 17 minutes, and it just rips from beginning to end, and it does not pussyfoot around getting to what it needs to get to. I really enjoyed it.
Ooh, I'm excited for that one. That's a dark sky film.
Yeah, it's in your email. Should be.
It is actually.
Yeah, it's in there. Yeah, it's in there. I even texted you when I was watching it, Gigi, because like I kind of am adapting to your taste, and I was like, that's what I said. I think you're really gonna like this one because it's like you'll like it. So now narrowing down to the segment of our show, I came up with this idea, and this is what we're going to talk about. So for the three of you, Brian, Seth, and Gigi, if somebody walked through your door at this moment and they gave you a budget and it was an infinite budget that you could make a film, but your film had to be a remake or a prequel of an existing franchise, which one would you choose? What do you want to see? Who would direct it? And who would your lead be? And I'm not going to just drop this on anybody's head. So, because I just out of politeness. So whoever would like to start may start, and we'll see how prepared we all are today.
Oh God.
I can start unless Gigi, you look like you're ready.
No.
To okay,
no.
I'll start then.
She said no.
No. You go. I'll go last.
I'll start us off. He's just spitting out his drink over here.
I did.
Listen, it's long overdue that we've gotten a Nightmare on Elm Street remake, and I know it's going to be a hard thing to top because Robert Englund is just basically like he's made for that character. But if we're gonna do it, I want either Christopher Nolan because he said he wanted to dip his toes into horror, or
Oh,
Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead, who did like The Endless, and a few other films, and I think they would both of them would be like really perfect to kind of like create this like nightmare scenario and create this like otherworldly just like creature. Um, and I wrote down I want Walton Goggins to play Freddy. He was the
Good
ghoul
one.
in
Good one.
he was the ghoul in what's
Fallout.
the Fallout, in the Fallout show.
I love him. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt you,
Oh
but
no, go ahead.
did you ever watch Vice Principals?
It's great.
Yes.
Mhm.
Oh,
He's
Yeah.
great.
okay, perfect.
He's great. I think he has like the perfect like combo of like, you know, being creepy and like comedic at times.
Yeah.
And we already kind of saw like what he could look like as Freddy as the ghoul, so I think that's cool. And then Heather Langenkamp said the other day that she wants to come back and do like kind of like what they did with like Sidney Prescott and like have her be like, you know, one last like hurrah.
Mhm.
But if for some reason she wasn't able to do it, I want Rebecca Hall as Nancy or Aubrey
Ooh.
Plaza.
Those
I
are good
like that.
picks. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Walton Goggins is a legend.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
I think it'd be cool. And there's so much they can do with it. So I hope that happens at some point in the future.
Yeah.
That'd be
That's
really
a
cool.
good
What,
one.
Like,
what about you, Brian?
Well, I've done no research, so if Gigi's got an answer, have you done any research, Gigi?
No, of course I haven't.
Okay, I will. I can spitball it.
Yeah, you go. You go.
So I would like a prequel to Blair Witch Project.
Mhm.
So obviously there's a lot of up in the air around, I forget his name, Rustin Park, I think, the
Mhm.
potential child murderer or the witch backstory. So I think it would even non-found footage it, which I know is rare for me to say. Who would I have in the leads though? Damn it! Like I need to think of somebody to play a witch, but they're gonna have makeup on probably, so it doesn't really matter. I'll say Helen Mirren for the witch.
that'd be
It's fine.
amazing.
I actually like that.
Yeah.
And
I love Helen Mirren.
Yeah, me too. She'll be great. Yeah, she can do anything. And trying to think who would be a creepy serial killer. There's so many choices. I'm going to give it to, just because I watched Yuma the other day, I'm going to give it to Jim Cummings because I can
Oh,
pull
yeah.
creepy.
Nice.
Because I should have said Psycho, should have remade that and put him as Anthony Perkins, but I'm too deep into Blair Witch remake now, so I just want to cast Jim Cummings so I can hang around with him.
Brian,
I really like that.
I was thinking just now, you know who would be perfect to play the witch is the girl who plays Bellatrix Lestrange.
You play what, sorry?
Bellatrix Lestrange in the like Harry Potter movie. She's like in all the like
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I can't remember her name, but she would be awesome as that.
I will take your word on that because I'm not a big Harry Potter fan.
She's in a lot of like Tim Burton films.
Mhm.
Oh right, okay, I know who you mean. Yeah, she was in Fight Club as well.
Yes.
Okay, I'm not a huge fan of her. I'm totally Helena Bonham Carter.
Yeah, Helena Bonham Carter.
IMDb brain up in here. Yeah, I think I'll stick to Helen Mirren.
Chuck's going to beat some people.
I know. He's like going to be like, "Give it down, Logan."
So Gigi, if you want to.
Oh God. Okay, let's see. I didn't do like any research, but off the top of my head, I would do The Mist. I
Ooh.
absolutely love The Mist, but I think if you rewatch it now, it doesn't hold up because of all like the CGI and monsters and stuff. So I think a lot of people that watch it think it feels cheesy if you haven't watched it when it first came out. So I would love a remake of that. I don't know who would direct it. I always want to just go Mike Flanagan because I love him and he could do no wrong and he would make them feel very creepy. But I don't know, like I'm trying to think of like who would do like a good like actual like creature feature. Because like, he does like ghouls and monsters really well, but you know, I don't know as far as like creatures. So I'm just gonna go with Mike because I love him so much. And it's like Stephen King, so I feel like he does good Stephen King adaptions. as my lead, I mean, there's like 500 people in the movie, but so I don't know about the grocery store people. I would put myself in there as an extra though, just so that would be cool. As the lead guy though, I want to go maybe. Oh, I don't know. I was gonna say what's his name, Patrick Wilson, but he's in so many horror movies that I think it would be an
He
overkill.
is.
Yeah, so not him. Oh, maybe. Let's do like Alex Skarsgård, not Bill. Bill has he has like a scary face, like a scary but hot face. But I think Alex Skarsgård would be like a good. He looks kind of similar to the original guy, and would play like a distressed father. I don't know about the girl though. I don't know who would play the woman. I don't even know what her name is, but she plays Andrea in The Walking Dead. Laurie Holden, that's her name.
Mhm.
Maybe I would cast who would be like a good
Who plays Maggie? I feel like Maggie, like the girl who plays Maggie in The Walking Dead. Just keep it in the family.
I know. No, seriously, because like literally half the cast is in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I know you got a helicopter flying above you, Chuck. But yeah, I would.
Motorcycle.
Oh, a motorcycle. Yeah, maybe the Maggie girl. I can't think of literally anybody else.
Who would you
So
have playing the crotchety religious person?
Oh, you. I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
I would
That
nail
makes
that.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Who's somebody that I find annoying?
There was
God.
the woman in Midnight Mass, the religious. I forget.
Oh,
what her
yeah.
job was. She was fantastic, so she could do it, I reckon.
Oh yes. Oh, okay. No, you know who I would pick for Laurie Holden would be Imogen Poots. That's who I would pick.
Oh, she's great.
So
I love that.
I think Imogen Poots would be great. Yeah, so I would pick Alex Skarsgård, Imogen Poots, Mike Flanagan, and then crotchety religious person. I don't fucking know. Yeah, maybe the girl in the first Omen, the lead.
Nell Tiger Free.
No, not her. Oh, actually, yeah, no, she would be good. I was talking about like the nun lady.
The nun. Sorry,
the bitchy nun lady. But
yeah.
No, Nell Tiger Free, she seems like she would be like a scary religious person. Like no hate towards her. But like she just played a nun so well that I think that she could also play like a very crazy ass nun. Or like crazy ass religious lady. So yeah, there's my bill right off the top of my head.
I think it's a great concept.
Thank you.
Did anybody watch the Mist TV show?
No.
There's a show. Oh, I did see 2 episodes and that was it.
I never watched it.
Was it good?
I never watched it.
So I only watched 2 episodes.
Do you guys like the end of The Mist?
Yes,
I do.
I think it's greatest ending in horror history.
Me too. I think it's like a absolutely phenomenal ending. I get mad when people think that it's like it's too bleak, and I'm like, but that's the point. Like
it's a horror movie.
It's devastating. Beyond belief devastating.
The first time I watched it, I literally was like in tears and like
Same.
jaw on the floor. I was like, I cannot believe it. I was like mad that they did that, but like mad in the way that like you're supposed to feel, just like very visceral. I love it.
I was pissed.
Yeah.
Because Chuck, for you give me yours. Because I forgot my director, I'm going to choose David Pryor, who directed The Empty Man. He'll do my Blair Witch prequel.
The Empty Man is great.
Yeah.
Listen, we could do a whole show on The Empty Man because The Empty Man is so slept on. I love it.
People hate that movie. Like every time I post it, like my two most popular posts on Instagram and TikTok are like Empty Man picture, and everyone's just like, it's boring. Nothing happens after the first 2 minutes. I'm like, what?
What?
The movie's
That's
awesome.
when everything starts to happen. Yeah. It's so good. So good. I'm so glad. I might have quit the pod if you all hated it.
No, I love that freaking movie. Manifest, baby, it works.
Yeah, even though I'm still just popping in as a guest from time to time, but I normally wouldn't do this because I would like to switch it up and not use the same thing that somebody else on our pod did, but I have to because I'm obsessed with this idea. So my pick is also The Nightmare on Elm Street, but I don't want a remake. I want a prequel. And I want them to go to the darkness of the monster that Freddy Krueger is. And I want to feel the discomfort of, this human being. And if I was look, I'm going to throw you through a loop on this one. Director, Ari Aster.
Oh,
And I have a very love-hate relationship with Ari Aster, but I think he can do dark and grief in that subject matter very well.
yeah.
And my prequel actor to play Freddy Krueger, I have come down to two people after lots and lots of fantasy deliberation. I have come down to Evan Peters.
Ooh.
And here's my ringer that I think would crush that role is Tilda Swinton.
Oh.
Oh,
And I know that's outside of the box, but she can outact literally everybody in Hollywood. And I think that she could bring something to that role and give it like a new age feel to it. I don't know how people would feel about a woman playing Freddy Krueger, but if anybody in the world could pull that off and fucking kill it, it's Tilda Swinton. And I just think that she would be diabolical in that
I
role.
love that.
I think most people would be welcome to it. Like we'd see in the comments when they recast the different gender or different skin color, the people are always open to it.
yeah.
And no one ever gets negative comments. But like Little Mermaid, people
And
love
like
I'm sure,
Hellraiser.
Oh, yeah.
Hellraiser, they just did that.
I would also
Right.
argue in The Mist, instead of it being a little boy, I think it should be a little girl. And I think that would be like way more horrific at the
Mhm.
end.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with that 100%.
You should have
I just
Damien
think it would-
Brugner direct
I was
it as
gonna
well.
say, yeah.
Oh, you know what?
Yeah,
Actually,
right.
yeah.
There you go.
Like, there's
Close
just-
up head shot off.
Yeah, of this little girl. I know that's because there's like, yes, it's like a father and like, it's a father and son, and like he's just like this helpless little boy. But imagine like a father and a little daughter. Like I think that would hit way harder. I'm
Yeah.
gonna rewrite that.
Yeah,
Mike,
it definitely would. Yeah. So
Mike, you
everybody out
remember
there
me?
that's listening, we would love for you to stitch this audio. It will be on our social segments of remakes, prequels, what our favorites were, and what our dream one was. But we would really like to see your feedback on what your dream prequel or remake would be and how you would cast it. So please leave it in the comments and get back to us to let us know, what your thoughts are, because we're curious what the people say and, how you felt about our ideas. So I think we're pretty much to the end of our remakes, prequels, and such episode. Is there anybody else that has any closing comments? Gigi?
No, I just love you guys. That's it.
Aw.
Yeah.
Steph?
Or as the new kids do it.
Same. I love our fans, and I love you guys. This is great.
Brian?
I tolerate you all. I would. I want to thank the people that have stitched and done videos for us on TikTok so far. That was very cool to see. So yeah,
I would love to thank everybody that stitched. Yep. I'd love to thank everybody that stitched us, mentioned us, reshared our social media, stole our ideas. I would like to thank every single one of you because it's really appreciated. Because it's a form of flattery, and you can find us all on our separate socials, but we would love for you to find us at Dark Screen Society on Instagram and TikTok, because we are a collective unit for this show and try to keep our own individuality out of it. So, but listen, we love doing this. I love my co-host, and I love being a guest as 1/4 of this until they find my replacement, because I think it's pretty cool. But I had an absolute blast hosting this episode, and we will look forward to tuning in, you listening to it, and coming up with episode 7, which is yet to be announced. So from all of us to all of you, have fun haunting the night. We are the Dark Screen Society, and we are signing off.
Bye.
Bye.